Hello everyone, I'm Tony Chan. Welcome to the number 30-second grammar trick. So, finite subordinate clause. We are talking about content clause. And this is the table of content for all the 40 videos, minor grammar tricks on content clause. So let's take a look at the table of contents. An introduction, and then we'll talk about subordinator, and then declarative content clause, and functions of declarative content clause. It can be a subject or internal complement in a clause. Content clause in construction with it, impersonal it as subject, complex transitive construction. Complex transitive is the same as copular transitive. And for other constructions regarding it and complement of adjective, complement of noun, or content clause, declarative content clause acting as a supplement, and complement clause, content clause acting as complement, licensed by it, so that, such that, etc. And declarative content clause acting as adjunct in a clause, and declarative content clause acting as complement of a preposition or adverb. And then interrogative content clause, the look, the form of interrogative content clause, whether and interrogative if, and constructions containing subordinate interrogatives. It's complement, or it can be acting as a supplement of a clause. Question orientation versus answer orientation, interrogative content clauses, and dubitative. That means I doubt whether, I doubt. In construction, he made interrogative content clause, and this is acting as an adjunct that sits between the verb and the interrogative content clause. Interrogative. This is open interrogative content clause. And if the typo interrogatives, if the typo interrogatives belong to the non-finite clause, so there will be a short one because we are mainly covering finite clause, not non-finite clause. It's just for your reference. Interrogatives are adjunct, just like declarative content clause. Interrogative content clause can also act as an adjunct in a clause. Then exclamative content clause. And then we will talk about mode tense and effectivity of a content clause, including mandative declarative content clause. And content clause governed by preposition. Content clause function as exhaustive conditional adjunct. This is a type of interrogative content clause. Specialized modal, like should, may. Modal preterite, and irrealis, These two can also take content clause. Present tense with future time interpretation, in a content clause. And effectivity, in a content clause. Some issues of syntactic analysis about content clause, 35 to 37. 3 sub-videos. And reported speech, also a type of content clause. indirect reported speech, direct reported speech, and free indirect and direct reported speech. So that's all for the table of contents for content clause. 40 minor tricks altogether. So let's get started for content clause. Let's first take a look at subordinate clauses. Relative clause, yep. Content clause, okay, yeah. Let's check first one. Relative clause. The book. Relative clause, yes. If the interrogative pronoun or relative pronoun is not there, or if this subordinator is not there, you can still notice that she recommended something. Yeah, something is missing. That's typical for a relative clause. Knows. Yeah, know, the verb know can take a content clause. It can even take open interrogative, close interrogative, and even exclamative content clause. And this one is a declarative content clause. Although, okay, declarative content clause. For new grammar, this is not a subordinate conjunction. That's for traditional grammar. For new grammar, it's just a preposition taking a clause, a content clause, declarative content clause as its complement. So it's acting as a supplement or an external adjunct for this main clause. Regarding marking of a subordinate clause, let's check. Yeah, subordinator, yeah, that's a kind of marking. In fact, it can be optional because this is an adjective that can take a content clause, and this adjective is very short, so the subordinator is optional. And how about this one or those? Yeah, relative clause and something missing. That's typical. That's a kind of marking for a relative clause. We're just asking, okay, interrogative content clause. Yeah, how is a kind of marking for an open interrogative content clause? And there is no inversion for the subject and auxiliary. So another kind of marking for a subordinate clause. No inversion here. What are they demanding? They demand that blah, blah, blah. So they demand, you don't have to mention that. They demand that, but this that, you must put it there because it's beginning of this content clause for this verb. This verb is taking a content clause as its complement. And demand is not that long, so the subordinator that is sometimes optional, but if you omit this part, they demand, if you omit this part, then you've got to use that. It's an elliptical, shortened answer. The verb complement content clause. Yeah, the verb is currently missing. That it should have come this way. Exclamative content clause. Exclamative content clause. And this acts as a subject for this whole sentence. And this part is removed. So just this part. Again, you still have to use that because it's at the beginning. You don't have to mention this part. He took advice from a student who was boss of the local plant. Okay. Content clause for this noun. And it's downgraded to become a supplementary adjunct. Sorry, it's a relative clause. Downgraded. Downgraded. Since the relative pronoun is acting as a subject, so we cannot omit it. It must be there. Relative clause, yes. So finite and non-finite, let's check. For finite, declarative content clause and mandatory, yeah, let's check. Yeah, it's a plain type verb, no S here. So it's a mandatory content clause. For mandatory content clause, you must use that. And for the main verb, you can use mandatory verb, or you can use this verb. This verb can take mandatory or non-mandatory. So this verb can also take non-mandatory. That means you can use she comes here. And then it is she come here. So mandatory. If it's mandatory, then you must use that. Once declarative, it's a catenative verb. So you can take a non-finite to infinitive as its complement. Content clause, relative clause, comparative clause are the three types of subordinate finite clauses for new grammar. Let's take a look. Relative, comparative, and content clause. Yeah, the three kinds of subordinate finite clause for new grammar. So, relative clause, yeah, the book I looked at, yeah. If you don't use that, you can still feel that is a relative clause because something missing. Something is missed. It's missing. I looked at something that's missing. Typical for a relative clause. Give me more copies than I wanted. Yeah, comparative clause. Comparative clause. A kind of subordinate finite clause. You know, okay, this verb is the most popular verb that can take a content clause or open and close interrogative clause or even exclamative content clause. Yeah, a complete clause. Nothing is omitted in it. So, content clause type. Okay, 4 types. Declarative, close interrogative, open interrogative, and exclamative. Let's check. There's 4 kinds of content clause type. It says that, yeah, says can take declarative content clause. And it's short. And it's a kind of communicating verb. Typical verb that can take content clause. Declarative content clause. He asked, yeah, whether. Yeah. Yes or no. So closed interrogative. And this if, its meaning is very similar to whether. So it's a type 1 if. Interrogative if. It's not conditional if. Interrogative if. And interrogative if belongs to subordinator, like this one, whether. So interrogative if, whether, and that. These are the only 3 subordinator for a content clause. Whether, what Vernon does, yeah, open interrogative content clause. And what the liar Tony is, yeah, exclamative clause. So exclamative clause can act like a subordinate clause. Yeah, for this verb, a very popular verb. So this verb, no, can take this, and this. These 4 types. The verb no can take these 4 types as complements for the verb. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next trick. Bye-bye.